Shadow Generations has taken the white space level select from the original Generations game and evolved it using the ideas generated in Sonic Frontiers to give us a hub world, in a sense, an expansive area with a lot of things to do where Shadow can control freely, but the main service it provides is connecting you to the different levels in the game without relying strictly on a menu. Hub worlds are not a new concept to video games. They've been around for ages, and the Sonic series has even used it on more than one occasion. But today I want to discuss whether Sonic should focus more on the open world or open zone levels we saw in Frontiers, or perhaps rely more on hub worlds, specifically the way Shadow Generations had used them. Obviously, the open worlds that Sonic Frontiers gave us was new, it was exciting, the games had never gone in such a liberating direction before, and that alone brought a lot of star power into the player's eyes. They had dynamic landscapes, well, at least the first 3 islands did, with unique quirks to the environment and how Sonic could interact with them whilst traversing across it. Of course, they were also littered with portals to cyberspace, acting as the more linear structured acts from previous Sonic games, so you had reasons to collect the gears needed to open these missions up, and the results of said missions would feed back into the open zone as the rewards from there let you progress the story. It was a good feedback loop that would keep you engaged for quite some time. But it does have its downsides. For one, the way Sonic controls in cyberspace is completely different to the overworld, to the point where for some players they only wanted cyberspace, and for others they only wanted to play in the overworld. But whichever camp you might have fallen into, your control scheme was going to get flipped on its head at one point sooner or later. And if you were someone that was okay with staying in the open world, a lot of them ended up just using Big's fishing minigame to skip cyberspace, making a large portion of the game sadly irrelevant. Shadow Generations, on the other hand, takes this into a better direction. I don't know if it was completely intended or if it evolved dynamically as the game was being developed, because in the marketing, the white space was sort of described as a single island from Frontiers, where, of course, that statement does have truth to it, but in reality, it's basically just a bigger and better hub world than the previous ones in older Sonic games, because just like in Frontiers, there are mini objectives only found in this open area. You don't have them unlocked initially at the start of the game, but soon enough you'll start seeing multiple different symbols or time items that when Shadow walks into them will trigger a timer and an objective, which, by the way, a lot of the objectives are more fun to play than in Frontiers. In Frontiers you had stuff like clicking on blue buttons in a rhythm or doing a jump rope that you could just hover in and win automatically, whereas here they want you to do surfing, collecting rings, or following an item under a decreasing time limit. Way more interesting, but back to the point, those can fit within the hub world while still serving the purpose of a place that connects main acts together, and it can change with the development of the story, which we see in Shadow Generations. As you start saving people and fixing time, more areas of the hub world either unlock or change in appearance and have new routes to discover. Hidden chests with rewards or items that will lead to rewards are scattered about, and of course the characters themselves occupy the hub world as well, such as Omega or Professor Gerald. And if this was taken to be a hub world in a future game, we could mix it with how, let's say, Sonic Adventure did a hub world, where you have multiple hub worlds. They're not all unlocked at the start of the game, but all of them will change as the story progresses. You can have civilians, so Adventure had human beings around. You can have people like that just in these hub worlds doing nonsense tasks that you can talk to for fun, but maybe some of them will offer you something, or they'll have a story arc over the course of the game. Then you can have upgrades or new moves unlocked in the hub world that also acts as a place to train and practice with them before you get into a mission, and some of those missions might only be reachable by using the new abilities in the hub world. Ultimately, in my opinion, the best course of action going forward for Sonic games would be to use the Shadow Generations approach for the hub world, but mixed with adventure, as I described. Because with Sonic Frontiers, yes, the hub worlds could be expansive, but as we saw, the last 2 islands were rehashes of the first, and at least for me, that felt very underwhelming. But if we instead had hub worlds that are smaller in scope anyway, we are getting so much more development time for the actual stages to give us more levels to play through without completely losing the free roam explorative action that we can get in the hub worlds. Of course, that is only my opinion. What are your own? Do you agree with me that perhaps hub worlds with this new style are the way to move on, or do you truly just want to see more of the open zone that Frontier gave us? Let me know in the comments down below. And thank you for watching this video all the way to the end. I hope you have a great day, and to see you next time. This is the Mighty Emperor signing off.